Last time on the 4040.
We have just transitioned from Vitavu to the snowy range. We are at way above normal snow level, as you can see by our Texan friends.
My biggest concern is we have, as you guys know, we have 200% of snowpack. Yeah. We're about 10,000 feet right here.
Today was the first day of mountaineering school.
Anything like that, that's when the snow is coming over and it looks like a wave. That's a loaded, basically, rock fall. If that breaks off and comes down, then you're in the line. Correct! Just like that. All right, and stop.
It's the longest time I've ever been in the snow. Wow.
You just push off. Guys, to be safe, think ahead, look down, look up. Feet up, Johnson.
We were doing self-arrest school, and all of a sudden Josh from down below is just like, climber's right, climber's right.
We were up there doing snow school. A random rock came loose. At that moment, when you hear that and see that, I just started yelling, right, climber's right, climber's right. And
It was a very, it got my heart going a little bit.
it was a great lesson in learning, like, hey, this environment just is unpredictable. And then position yourself in a safe place.
At what point do you go to the person that you need to forgive?
Am I just screwed now? Right? Like, that's a legitimate question.
It means letting go of your identity of brokenness and dysfunction.
If we're going to be true sons of God, if we're going to insert our lives in the kingdom and make this transition from being a believer to a disciple, then this is something we need to take seriously.
So we woke up very early in the morning.
So when we are mountaineering, we practice something called an alpine start. Depending on the peak or the couloir that you're trying to climb, anywhere from 2 a.m. to 5 or 6 a.m. is an alpine start. And the reason why we do that is that, especially in Wyoming, if you're gonna see storms, it's gonna most likely occur in the afternoon. So the rule is to be on the summit by noon and then to be descending shortly thereafter, so that you're avoiding the chance of potential storms that will roll in the afternoon. So as we climbed the couloir, we got up early. We had our first alpine start.
We got here like, what, 5:30?
Yeah, I got here 6.
We had just finished doing all of this training of self-arresting and snow survival and rope teams, and
we learn it one day and we lead the next day. It's true.
One day I learned how to rock climb. Next day I learned how to lead a rock climb. One day I learned how to walk on snow. Next day I learned how to climb a couloir.
You learn how to do a single pitch. The next day you learn how to do a multi-pitch. Yeah, we're accelerated. We're accelerated growth at Strong.
Today, we get to put into practice everything that we learned yesterday. So it's really exciting and really kind of scary.
This is our couloir. We're going to be climbing. It's going to be the students' first couloir. And it looks really good.
A couloir is kind of like a small ravine on a mountain.
If you look on the far left of the couloir, there's a big cornice. So we're going to be staying very clear of that.
It's a French word. I don't know. Maybe they think they're cooler than us.
We look up, look down, or look down, look up. Either one. So why don't we start at the bottom? let's identify any objective hazards we have at the bottom. So we have our lake here, objective hazards. We have some boulders right here. Nothing too threatening though, right? Okay, so let's go up middle. Okay, so we've got a loaded cornice up here. So we have another couloir next to us. And obviously this guy is not friendly. He's kind of top heavy, right? So based upon that, are we gonna hug that left side at all? No, we are gonna stay very It's really a perfect couloir for people for their first time because it's not too steep. There really is no cornices up there, and so it's pretty safe from what we can see. If we'll see how it goes once when you get in there. We may get in there and just realize conditions may show otherwise when we get in there. We might have to bail, but as of now, it looks good from the bottom to the top. Our strategy: we're gonna start right and we're gonna kind of stay right, okay? And we're gonna pretty much go up and hug this right side and hide behind that shield, okay? This is the shield right here. We're gonna go up and we're gonna stay close to the shield. But eventually we're gonna have to go in the couloir, okay? When we get in the couloir, it's gonna be that the first person in there, that's when they really do the look down, look up, and they're assessing the scene. Okay, they're making sure there's no objective hazards above us that aren't safe, right?
So when we climb a couloir, we actually break the students up into rope teams. So Josh had a rope team, I had a rope team, and Austin had a rope team, and you actually travel in groups of 3 to 4 on this rope team. And because it's a couloir and you're actually ascending, the rope teams are in a rope length of about 30 to 40 feet apart.
So we had worked out our rope teams, and it's all based on like who can save who in an emergency, which makes sense. You should totally make all sorts of life decisions based on that premise. But at the bottom of the hill, when you're like, okay, I want that guy to rescue me if I fall into a crevice. Well, I'm one of the bigger guys, so I'm the guy rescuing people, and that's a lot of pressure. Like, I'm pretty sure Josh's exact quotation was, Robbie goes behind me for when I fall into a crevice, he like can anchor me from falling to my death, which is an honor, but it's a little bit much to put on just such a mild-mannered boy like myself.
Now, just because we did the look down, look up, and we determined that there aren't any objective hazards that aren't safe above us, does that mean we're still bomb-proof safe? No, we found that out yesterday. A random rock came down in one of the safest places we could be. We're gonna go up, and we're actually gonna try staying as right as possible, and we're gonna zigzag right. When we are going up, your instructor is gonna be placing the pickets, and we're gonna go over how to anchor into these pickets.
You are basically roped into one another, and the leader, so myself, Josh, and Austin, are setting pickets, snow and ice pickets along the way to protect ourselves, so that if one of our members of the rope team was to fall, that picket would help anchor and stop the fall, and then everybody would go into the self-arrest position.
An instructor will place a picket when the entire rope team needs to be belayed. Okay, when it's too safe, if somebody fell, that picket would assist the rope team in catching. Or B, if somebody fell, it would keep somebody from sliding into a place where they might hit something. Okay, so let's just say here's our couloir, right? And we're going up, right? And the instructor places a picket right here because if somebody fell right here, they wouldn't have enough time to stop before they hit the rock. Does that make sense? That's why our pickets are so important, okay? So an instructor has 3 pickets, so they're gonna be going up, they'll place one here, and just before they get to the big head wall where they're gonna need all their pickets.
I'm actually on team 1 with it's Josh, then Robbie, then me, and then Will. So we set off first, and it's kind of like we're forging the trail, so it was really exciting.
One rope team goes up first, you stagger your starts, then another's going to follow, and then finally the last team will go behind. You're leaving space in between as well if the rope team above you was to have a fall or an incident. As you climb the couloir, you're actually doing something that we call switchbacks along the snow, which is like a zigzag up the snow line, so that you are, again, avoiding the fall line of the people below you and above you.
I look up at this couloir and I'm like, wow, that really looks like it's straight up and down. Like,
Okay, so we're all hooked up on these rope teams, and when you look up at this thing, it looks like a wall, like it's a wall of snow.
we're gonna climb that. Okay, we can do this. You know, it always looks worse when we're at the bottom, so it's gonna be fine when we go up there.
And you think, you know, once you're on the mountain, it's not as bad. You're there, and it's still a wall. It's still just a wall. It was one of the biggest moments where I'm like, this is not just camping anymore. This is serious outdoor adventures, and it was great. And you're physically having to climb with your hands and your feet like a monkey, a snow monkey.
As we go, it keeps getting steeper and steeper and steeper, and then it gets to the point where Josh kind of pauses and says, you know, okay, you guys ready? And we're like, yeah, and he's like, okay, it's time to, you know, we're gonna get on all fours, and just like we did yesterday with the ice socks, and you're on all fours and you're going like this, German style, right?
They'll gather everybody up to the top before we climb over the head wall. And remember, you do the boot axe belay, right? If you're not on self belay and somebody's up behind you, you're boot axe belaying them. So we're gonna go up, boom, 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 we'll re-rally, and then we'll go over the head wall.
It got to that point where that's how we had to get up the rest of this couloir. And so it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was kind of a kid again, and I got to really, you know, go out and just really test my physical strength and my mental strength. To the top, and it's the most amazing view ever, and you could see it was so cool because you could see down near the bottom there's the highway. You could see some cars kind of parked off on the side, and some people were watching us, and I was like, man, I could totally picture myself in their place being like, oh, look at those people, aren't they crazy, aren't they cool? And you know, here we are being the crazy cool people on top of this mountain.
So we had just climbed this grueling mountain of snow that was a very harrowing experience. But we get to the top and you're just filled with like this victory, you made it, like It's great, and then of course we gotta have some learning moments. I just plunge into the snow.
Robbie got eaten up by the mountain, literally.
So we were walking along, he just disappears in the snow.
Before we save him, record it.
Oh, Robbie!
It turns out that he fell in one of these crevasses.
And I'm trying to do my job. I hear someone, no, give me the camera, as if filming me and my death is the important thing at the time.
There we go, yeah, let's take pictures before I fall into the 100-foot crack. Not at the bottom. Are you touching bottom? No. Oh, I feel a rock on one foot.
In hindsight, I probably would have been saying the same thing had it been Stephanie falling into the bowels of the earth.
How you doing, Robbie?
So I don't blame her for that. You gotta do your job.
There we go. Well, there's some excitement. There's our rock slide for the day.
So we got to the top and we took a little
Lord,
bit.
we thank you for a safe descent.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It was a lot of fun.
How's your shoulder doing?
Oh, I felt fine.
Sweet.
It was good. It was a good climb. You did an excellent job getting to the top. Super safe, super bomber. And you guys did really good maintaining your self-belays. And it was bomber. You can see how that's just like your strongest point for climbing and your safest way to climb, right? So now we're only 50% done. We made it to the top. Now we got to get back down safely. So what we're gonna do?
The couloir is so steep that in order to get back down it, you need to like rappel with ropes and harnesses and safety equipment.
Yesterday, we learned a lot of new methods of anchors.
We're gonna build a large bollard, and with the bollard we're gonna build. Obviously, this thing's gonna be huge. It'll be totally safe. Okay, we're gonna tie 2 ropes together. It's about 800 to 1,000 feet.
We just had to build a big old bollard at the top, and rappel down from there, and that was a blast.
Throw the ropes over, and we're going to teach you a special way to wrap to speed up the process. It's called simo-rappel. Divide up in just pairs.
And we were going to simo-rappel down this couloir.
You two are going to help one another out and make sure you're OSV.
We first wrapped down from the bollard.
Meg and I paired up for the simo-rappel.
You're not nervous at all, are you?
What makes you say that?
Not only is this Meg's first official time in the snow, she has got to throw herself down a hill and stop herself with an ice axe. She has gotten to, hike. I mean, she's done so much in her first time in the snow. Why not throw climbing up a couloir and then rappelling down it off of a snow bollard, right?
After you rappel down the first pitch, there's going to be an anchor there with another single rope rappel, and you're going to rappel all of that.
The rope doesn't even reach all the way down the couloir. So you're doing all this, and ultimately you just end up halfway down the mountain anyways.
So you're going to rappel a total of 400 feet. So holster your ice axe like this. Keep following the look down, look up rule, all right? You always want to be aware of your surroundings.
Hello.
How's it going? I'm sure we don't hate each other. I can't believe I'm telling this first.
The normal way to rappel would be the rope in front of you, and you're just going backwards. Other people, they get to go down backwards and just sort of just pray that they make it down to the bottom.
Look at Robbie. He's going down face first.
I have to face downwards, film, and just sort of inch my way along, just staring
Robbie, you're gonna fall over.
hundreds and hundreds of feet of just sheer
I love
ice
it, yeah.
doom. So that was fun. Okay, so you're halfway down, and then you have an option. High dagger, low dagger, which are slight variations on crawling. And then there's this thing called the goose step. And what the goose step is you're basically, you pretend you're in a marching band. You're making sure that you get nice and deep in the snow, you're with your feet doing this thing. And so you're safe, but you look really silly.
After we got done with our couloir, we did some crevasse rescue. That was really fun and really interesting. It's kind of hard to pull someone out of a crevasse, but with like a team of a few people, it's definitely doable.
You drop in and you have an 80-pound pack on your back. It's just a bad scenario, okay? However, we do want to go over this so that you guys at least have some exposure and some protocol to follow. This black bag is our crevasse rescue kit.
It's important to learn crevasse rescue because we will be going across glacier travel later on during our mountaineering section in the winds. Just in case someone on a rope team falls into a crevasse, we can know how to pull them out.
I mean, it's actually pretty simple, but we do have some resources that tell you how.
Because it could even be your leader sometimes. So it's good for us to know beforehand how to deal with that situation.
Each rope team will have one of these, okay?
So when we arrived in the snowies, you know, it was exciting because there's a lot of snow and we are just learning how to set up, you know, camp in the snow. And me and a few of the guys, you know, we were kind of on an adrenaline rush or something.
I record the moment.
Okay, Ben. Nice work. Bye.
We're gonna be Vikings of the North, and we're gonna set up camp way on top of this ridge and just overlook our frosty kingdom. Well, when we got to the top of the couloir and we could see across the valley, turns out it was insanely windy back at our tents where we weren't there at the moment, but we could just see the tents just being punished by the wind. I think quietly, very quietly, inside all of us, we're like, we're probably not going to be the most comfortable Vikings in the area.
What's going on, Ethan?
Oh, tighten up the tent. Winds are getting really heavy, and with the snow melting, everything loosened up, and we almost lost the top of the tent. So we're just trying to get it tightened down.
Sure, we needed to reinforce the tents. We needed to suck it up, and we needed to conquer. And so when we get back to camp, that's priority number one. But we had a little surprise waiting for us at camp. So we make our way back to the camp, just exhausted and giddy and pretty excited. I mean, this was like our first, I don't know, I mean, to this point, I think it was definitely the most dangerous thing that we had done. So that was fun. And we're making it back and we're all worn out. It's the middle of the day.
As soon as we get back to camp, Merritt pops out of her tent, and we're like, oh my gosh, Merritt's back. And everybody's like running and screaming at her. And
Merritt's been actually having a pretty serious abdominal issue. Due to our protocols, we kind of crossed the line where it's like, man, we got to get this checked out. But we thank you for Merritt.
We're just praying for a miracle and just trusting that she's going to be fine. The doctor will okay her to rejoin us and that she'll be able to finish the rest of our 40-day journey together. So
we've been out here for 13 days, and that may not seem like a lot, but when you're living with the same people and you're going through as much as you're going through, one of your family members disappears, it really, you feel that hole, like something's missing. You know, if the doctors don't okay her, she won't be able to come back out here. And, you know, just us praying extremely hard that she'd be able to rejoin us and that she'd be healthy. It was just a completion to a wonderful day. So we were really happy to have her back.
Okay, so he drops me off and I'm putting my shoes on and I'm watching you guys. And I'm like, oh, that's my team. And so then I noticed there's this like sketchy truck, right? And I'm like, huh, this is usually how a weird movie starts off, but okay. And so then I'm like, my shoes are on, I'm about to get going, and they like pull up next to me. They're like, hey. I was like, hey. They're like, what are they doing up there? And it was like this man and his wife, and they had been watching you guys for an hour. Yeah, we saw that truck. Yeah, they're like, we just don't understand. There must be a dozen of them up there. And I was like, well, yeah, there's 13 of us, and I'm 13, so yeah, a dozen's right. And I literally talked to him for like 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, we're doing an outdoor ministry, and like, it was just neat, because like, I don't know, like you don't really realize your impact, just by like little stuff. They were like, 40 days? It's like, yeah, it's kind of biblical. So it was cool.
We're gonna rate our day according to and in honor of Austin Holler as a animal.
My day was like a caterpillar, and I was in my cocoon, like adventuring up the couloir. I just started coming out, like it was like day 2 in the cocoon, okay? So then I just like blossomed into this like butterfly, and it was just like awesome. I love the snow.
Yeah. Now you're a butterfly.
She's the butterfly.
I was all of them.
A tiger?
Tiger. It's awesome and cool today. Tigers are cool and awesome. But yet again, I just get holes in everything, and I feel like if a tiger had a down jacket, it'd kind of look like this. And my sleeping bag is leaking down, and this is coming off. So my stuff's just breaking, but it's okay. Because I'm a tiger.
My day was like a donkey. Donkeys, when you first get them, they're kind of stubborn and hard, and they can be a little bit aggressive. But once you get used to them a little bit more and they get used to you, they soften up and become a good friend. And where am I going with this? The snow.
Help me finish.
The snow is like, it's abrasive at first. Even though it's beautiful and cool, like a donkey. But then, you get around it and you get a little bit more used to it and learn how to have fun with it. But then occasionally it still kind of like gives you some trouble.
Don't poke me, that's too
So,
it's like math.
yeah. And today was an awesome day, but very tiring. Thus every once in a while I can be a little stubborn too.
I would have to say my day was a baby sea otter.
You took mine!
Gotcha. Because it was very playful and it was just fun. There really were no downsides, as there are no downsides to baby sea otters. And
I'm gonna have to go with the adult river otter. Mainly because they're one of my favorite animals, because they love the water and they are super playful and they're just cool creatures. But today was a pretty familiar day for me. However, it was just a ton of fun, and it was fun just being with everybody. And crevasse rescue was a ton of fun. I thought it was hilarious. Like, well, one team's working on crevasse rescues. There's like a war zone of snowballs going on.
Don't worry, my pants ripped.
But then afterwards, we some of us stayed and hung out and just had a good time climbing out of crevasses and
not competitions.
Yeah, not competitions and
a large elephant. like climbing up the couloir and stuff was kind of daunting and intimidating. But I had a lot of fun.
Yes.
Like elephants.
You'll never forget.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep, there's the tie-in. Thanks.
The memory of an elephant.
I think my day was probably like an eagle.
That's why your pack weighs 80 pounds.
Are those your gloves?
No, it's just a thing.
That's why you wanted to rate your day as an animal.
On the optional.
I don't know why you can bring an eagle and I can't have a cardigan.
Oh, remind me to take that from you tomorrow.
My day was good. Yeah, I enjoyed getting up the couloir and sliding down and getting rescued a few times.
Like an eagle.
Like an eagle.
Like an eagle.
And it made your spirit soar. Right?
Right.
That's why.
Robbie's like the Marty Stalfa of Rate Your Day and with the animals.
Bails everybody out.
Yeah, with these obscure connections.
Obscure.
Like a platypus or platypi.
Duck
You have
face.
multiple. Like big ducks, and they're the only poisonous mammal.
Oh.
Yeah, they like to
Just
swim in
like
water.
today.
It doesn't have much to do with my day, but at least you learned something. And I really like them, and it was a really good day.
And you learned a lot today.
I learned a lot.
There it
Now
is.
you all
There's the
learned
connection.
My day was like a penguin. I never felt like I was going very fast, but I always got somewhere. I just kind of waddled there. And penguins really enjoy the snow and the cold, and they like to slide and play, so that's why I'm a penguin.
Today was like a hummingbird for me.
That's a good one.
Because just found the sweet nectar today in mountaineering.
Sweet manna.
And it was just good. I was just flying high on the sweet nectar. And yeah.
No world.
Hummingbird. Mountaineering's awesome. It's my favorite thing thus far by far.
So we're rating our day by animal, and it's Merritt's turn. She just had a really impactful time when she was away from us.
All right, so before I left, I got this picture about how there's it's kind of involved, but basically it was like a prophetic word about how this guy saw like a horse, and then so this horse was like this wild horse out in the field jumping around having fun and stuff, and then so the horse looks up and he sees these 4 horses connected to this chariot, and so the 4 horses are they're transporting the king, and they're real noble, and they have decor on and stuff, and just look really legit. And so anyways, I think the point of the story is that there's this wild horse, and he's pretty much doing his own thing, and out in the field, and then he sees these other horses that are they have this higher calling. They're serving the king, and they're noble, and to me it just kind of meant that when I wasn't a believer, even when I was a believer and not really following after God, just kind of out doing my own thing, and it looks almost it's fun to be rebellious and wild, but there's just no higher purpose in it, and there's when we serve the king, there's might not be we're all free, but I mean we are free, but we're just not I don't know, you just have this higher calling, and your life is more important than just being wild, so
It reminded me of when Josh was in Vitavu when we were talking about heaven's main language is through picture. And he gave Merritt just such an exquisite picture of, you know, her journey and where she's going to be going with that. It was amazing, you know, just hearing that. And I love it when, you know, it comes that point of recognition, like, you know, that's truly, you know, a spoken word from God, that's a picture given from God. Like,
that word will probably stick with you.
Although we've only been together for, if you include the building, 14 days. We've been together 14 days. But the first part of our course together, we shared our story. Where have you been and why are you here? And basically what we want to do tonight is create like faith statements. And we call these I am statements, and they're really powerful. When there's power in releasing declaration into the atmosphere, both for good and for evil. And a lot of times we release, you know, anti-faith statements over ourselves without even really realizing the power, the impact of that. And so what we want to do is create an opportunity for us to, in fact, declare and release faith statements over ourselves. And the person who's faithing it is going to declare it over themselves, and we're all in agreement spiritually, and there's power in unity. So we call them I am statements because that's what it starts in with, I am. And whatever that area is that you're faithing for breakthrough, or that you're faithing for to see in your growth from your actual to your potential in Christ, and your journey into sonship, and how you can form it in a positive light of who you are in Christ. I am. You know, and you could say I was this and I am this. And even if it's a step of faith just to declare that because you don't feel like it's true, or you don't feel like you're quite there yet, or you don't feel like the declaration has come fully to pass, we're just asking that you frame it as though it is, and we're going to call the things that are not as though they are. And these I am statements are going to come into place a lot. You know, there's going to be times when we're tempted to revert, or we're tempted to digress, or we're tempted to lower our elevation, you know.
That again. Therefore, the promise comes by faith, so that it may be by grace, and may be granted to all Abraham's offspring, not only to those who are of the law, but also to those who are of faith of Abraham. He's the father of all of us. Without weakening in his faith, he faced the fact that his body was as good as dead, since he was about 100 years old, and that Sarah's womb was also dead. Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. This is why it was credited to him as righteousness. I think this is just really timely, that the promises of God come by faith, and as we've been transitioning from our actual to our potential, it's time that you start using your tongue to declare your potential and who you are in Christ, because your tongue is really the rudder of your life. Out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of step into a time of worship. We're going to ask that the Father give you his promise and your I am statement. I was fearful, but I am courageous. I was abandoned, but I have a Father. Now I have a Father who takes care of me. You know, there's all these things. And so we're going to just move into a time of worship and just ask the Father for our I am statements. These 14 days, we praise you, Lord, that you've moved powerfully and wonderfully. Lord, that we're seeing miracles in our hearts.
So last night after dinner, we were setting up for Devo. It started raining on us a little bit.
Well, we were worshiping, and like there's been like 4 clouds, like huge storm-looking cloud thingies that missed us. And so we were hoping this one would miss us, but it got really dark, and then it started raining, and then it started pouring and thundering and lightning.
The normal people went back to their normal campsite in the safe valley. But how can I put this gently?
Hey, Eric!
Very motivated Vikings that we imagined ourselves to be. We climb all the way back up this ridge, all the way to our tents, which are just whipping violently. This bombardment of lightning and thunder that would just rattle your chest.
We're starting to realize, how bad of an idea it was to actually build our tents on the ridge.
So we were chilling, praising God, and all of a sudden, this came all over us, and now there's a lightning storm! And we are Vikings!
There comes a time when a Viking is faced with a decision, one that may not be the manliest, and that's when we abandon the ridge. And we head down to the tents below where everybody is hunkered down sort of in the trees.
What are you gonna do, stand outside?
Yep, my hands are very free. What's that buzzing? The camera's making a funny noise. Man, my carabiner's jiggling.
Okay.
I'm going to get in the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go find the tent.
And it was no picnic for them, I'll say that too. Nobody was dry and comfortable.
We're just sitting in the tent. We had like 2 days of this in Vitavu?
Yes.
So now we're sitting here in the snowies, and it's our last night because we're leaving tomorrow morning. We say in Wyoming, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. So we'll see how that goes.
All of us came down
What?
because the lighting's getting bad.
Well, we had the awesome idea of getting the top of the hill for the best scenery for our tents. So far, during this trip, it has been proven to be the worst place to camp. It is the windiest place. And now with this crazy rain, it's it's kind of a lightning hazard. So we're here,
Taking shelter.
in the ladies' tents. Because we're Vikings.
Oh, yes. Well, we're wet.
Okay.
We can go hang our stuff in a tree and then come back.
No, shoot. No, get in. Just get in.
Your socks are getting wet. Get in there.
Oh! Is everybody in?
Oh, yeah. No, Robbie's still out there. It's almost wetter in here than
Woo! That one was close.
Don't worry, I'll just go out there and
Deliver the camera.
We're back down to the instructors' tents and the girls' tents, and me and Sean and Mare and Megs, we all have a little fun time.
We're in a rainstorm. This is our tent, Mare and I's tent, and tonight we have 2 guests. Mateo, Ranger Danger.
Danger's on. Oh yeah.
I say we do Russian accents.
No more Russian accents. It's too hard to stop.
Yeah,
It's so addictive.
We're just getting out of the Russian accents.
We just decided to have an intervention with Sean about his Russian accent and how, he kind of has a problem maybe.
We did 2 days of climbing in Russian accents.
Yeah, and everyone's still talking in there.
Hi, my name's Sean Ranger, and I'm addicted to accents. I recognize that I need help.
What does it do to your life?
At first Sean was just a really funny guy, and I really enjoyed him, and he just busts out the Russian accent every once in a while. But then it just started getting more and more, and he just got wrapped up and around it, and he stopped hanging out with us and just talking to himself in this Russian accent.
Okay. How are you feeling right now, Sean?
The accent became who I was, and I couldn't find my own identity anymore. And I would try to talk to people, but all I could do was call them comrade all the time.
It's a character.
And well, I became a different person on the inside.
Are you ready to hear from Megan? Okay, are you okay?
Okay.
You ready to hear?
Okay. Yeah.
The hard truth about this is, Sean, is that you don't just yourself turn into a Russian. You turn everyone else into a Russian. I just want to ask you one question. Who are you, Sean Ranger? Who are you? Did you just think about that?
I just want to say to my family and to my wilderness family and everybody that ever heard me speaking in my stupid Russian accent and or cadence that I'm sorry.
There's hope.
I'm not sure that there is. I'm not sure that there is any hope for me.
Stop it, he's going into it.
There's not any hope. There's no hope. Comrade! Comrade! I see a light. I see a light.
Next week on the 4040.
So after all this, now it's time to go to the Wind River Range.
After this, it's 27 days, right?
This is what we've been training for.
For us to travel through that would be a nightmare.
But we needed snowshoes, and we needed that box.
Lots of snow like here and there, and it was like, okay, like this isn't bad. And then we like got into the higher parts.
Snow just everywhere.
A lot of people were like going to their way, crawl and dig themselves out, which was quite hilarious / frustrating.
We got full snow too deep.
What does that mean, Josh?
It means it's gonna be amazing and challenging, fun, and unpredictable, Merritt.
5 good things about the winds. Write down.
And we finally get to, sounds like somebody's sword fighting over there. We're all hooked up on these rope. It's okay. Sorry. I just like, okay.
Excited.
We've all been really excited.
It's because we missed it and our cameras are dead by the time we got back.
Hey, if you can't capture reality, I can't help you out, okay? Okay, you really want me to say it?
Nick, how you feeling?
I feel bright. Real good. Thanks for this opportunity. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks.